you can't give up as a man, no matter what. You don't give up until you die. It was mid-90s, Miami. Gangster rap music was at the top of the charts. What we're watching on TV, gangs, drug dealers, violence was just a part of a thing here in Southwest Miami-Dade County during that time. And I think it was a culmination of the culture, where we were, the music, the type of people we had living here. You're talking about a hodgepodge of immigrants from across the Caribbean and South America, you know, and a lot of them were living here because their parents, their grandparents, or some family member was involved in some type of illegal drug trade.
You're making a lot of money and you lose millions of dollars to a Ponzi scheme. What happened?
My brother-in-law worked for the company. My sister-in-law worked for the company. Everybody that worked at the company were my clients. I did mortgages for them all, so I saw the bank statements. I saw the money, the deposits coming in. So I finally jumped into it. Okay, when I hit a number, I'll pull a couple $100,000 out. I was withdrawing $150,000. I was finally buying the fucking Ferrari. And I go to withdraw the money and I can't get the money out.
9/11 travel industry, 2008 recession, 2021 Ponzi scheme. Which one of those hurt the most?
I think the one that hurt the most was the Ponzi scheme. It hurt me the most because people that I knew and I trusted lied to me.
You know, you've adopted, you know, you've done so many things when it comes to kids. How do you work 80 hours a week and remain present in your lives?
Make sure you have a good cell phone signal.
What does being a man mean when it comes to responsibility for, let's say, your family?
Well, make sure you're responsible. They need to make sure that they're okay.
Yeah.
Before you're okay.
Hey everyone, David Adam Kurz here. And if you're watching this, I want to thank you for being a part of Forged Into Man. You know, a lot of people that watch this show aren't subscribed yet, and your support truly matters. When you subscribe, like, and share these conversations, it helps us bring more powerful stories to the table, create more episodes, and keep the movement going. So if this conversation has impacted you, hit that subscribe button. It helps us more than you know. Thank you so much. Now let's get back to the show. Yves Cham, thank you for doing the show with me, man. I appreciate it. Welcome to Forged Into Man.
I appreciate you inviting me. It's an honor to be here, and definitely looking forward to it.
So listen, I don't think you know this, or I'm sure you don't know, but you actually helped inspire the development of this show.
Interesting. And how did I do that, David?
So I don't know if you remember, but, well, I'm sure you remember because we're sitting here right now. I did an interview with my wife where I talked about my story. And you saw that interview. And I remember doing that interview and then watching it myself and thinking, what a great platform. But I wouldn't know, like at the moment, I didn't really know what I was thinking, right? Because my wife is probably the best person to interview me. She knows me. You know what I mean? So
she knows everything.
Yeah, she knows what she's poking for, right? and you shot me a message when my brain was in that kind of place. You shot me a message. You were like, dude, you made me want to tell my story now.
I remember that conversation.
And I was like, let's do it. You know? So you actually helped me give birth to this this project,
I'm glad I could inspire you.
That was awesome, man. And I'm grateful that you're here because it feels full circle, right? At least for me, it feels full circle.
Definitely.
You know, coming up with the idea, coming up with the concept, going all in on building this podcast room just for this. You know, with the thought process of you saying, you make me want to tell my story now, which led me to believe that you've probably never publicly talked about some of the things we're going to talk about today.
Never.
Right. And so, you know, I wanted to build a platform for that. Like I wanted to create a platform where someone like you could come on and tell their true, authentic story.
I've never told, you know, any part of the story or anything because, you know, in the past, you know, obviously growing up as part of corporate America, coming in at, you know, 18 years old, you want to remain very guarded. yourself,
Right.
you know, when you're in that scenario, when you're in a corporate situation. You know, I worked for a number of different Fortune 500s here in Miami, and you want to, you know, remain guarded as to your private life. So you never really
Absolutely.
put your story out. But now here we are, you know.
And what's wild is you say that as a corporate America, but even when you created your own business, you still kind of like, me, you know, you still kind of feel as a man, like I can't really put my message out there because, you know, then I might lose clients.
You don't want to be shunned by some of your clientele for
Right.
telling your story, you know,
Right.
and I feel like that, you know, especially where we are today with podcasts, with social media, and with everything that's out there, everybody is telling their story,
Yep.
you know, and it doesn't matter.
Doesn't.
You are who you are because of what happened in your life and where you're going in your life, and it's irrelevant. So we're here.
I had a coach once tell me, it was really interesting. He wasn't my coach, but I was picking his brain on podcasting, and not for this, but for something completely different in the past. And he said to me, he asked me, what topics would be 100% off the table for you when doing a podcast with someone? And I said to him the normal response, politics and religion, right? And he asked me why. I said, man, 'cause it just never goes the right way, right? Like, you know, if you're doing the podcast with somebody who is on the other side of the fence on it, then it turns from, most of the time, it turns from a nice debate to an argument, right? Even on public television, that happens. And religion, you know, I think religion is personal, right? And he said to me, are you afraid of losing business? And I'll go, absolutely. Right? Like if I go out there talking my politics and talking this and talking that, I might lose people that don't agree with where I stand on this, you know? And he said to me, but how many people would you gain that had no idea you had their same values? And that was an answer I didn't have for him.
Yeah.
You know? And so it made me think about this even more, where when we tell our story, we educate other men in letting them know it's okay. Like, look what I went through, and I'm here. Like, pinch me, I'm real.
Well, yeah, because as men, we always, you know, we're who do we really talk to?
Yeah.
How much do we really tell when we speak to the few individuals that we actually confide in, that you're going to tell the whole story to? I mean, most men don't have even one person that they can have those conversations with.
It's true. It's very true.
You know, they don't. And if you do, you get to the point where how comfortable do you feel revealing and being vulnerable, you know, about yourself and things that have happened and things you have going on and secrets you may have in your life. So most of us never really open up about it.
Yeah.
There's no one to really open up about it to.
I agree with you.
Besides your own father.
Right. If you have one.
If you have one.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. You grew up here in Miami, middle-class family. You had a present father.
Definitely.
Helped shape who you are today.
Very much so.
Right. Can you talk to me about him?
My father was very well educated, Air Force veteran of Vietnam.
Nice.
He was an entrepreneur, business owner. After being in the service in the military, he was working on computer systems, mainframes, back when, you know, when nobody had a computer in their house.
Right.
And, you know, subsequently opened his own business here in Miami, servicing all the banks that were opening up here in the 80s.
Yeah.
I was always wondering, you know, I would go and, you know, go to work with my father because he would take me to work at a young age. I was a big kid, so I always looked a lot older. And we'd go and we'd have all of his clients were banks, brand new banks opening up. And, you know, when you're a kid in the 80s, early 90s, you're just seeing banks opening up. But when you look back at the story, those were the banks that were, you know, opening up to fund the illicit trade and laundering that were going on all over the place here in the 80s and the 90s in Miami. Yeah. So it was, you know, kind of interesting looking back at it. But he was an entrepreneur, you know, very present father, spent a lot of time with us, would take us out on a boat, vacations, camping, you know, basically teaching us how to be a man, you know, teaching me how to conduct business, teaching me how to present myself and, you know, the type of attitude to have towards life. And it, you know, made a huge impact.
Let's take away from the broad statement, teaching me how to be a man, and let's dissect it a little bit. If you had to think back, what was something that your dad specifically taught you about discipline that you carry today?
Well, that you can't give up as a man, no matter what. You don't give up until you die. Simple as that. No matter what you're going through or what you have going on, there's no giving up. Your wife could give up, your children can give up, but if you give up, what? What are you?
Yeah.
What are you going to accomplish?
Yeah.
If you can't get knocked down and get back up, then what are you going to do? Just going to lay down?
Cry about it?
Bleed forever? Cry about it? What's going to happen next? You're going to wait for someone to come pick you up and what, take care of you? That shit's not happening.
How do you feel he taught you that? Like, was it, mostly through direction or?
Well, I had to work at a young age. I started working when I was probably 8, 9 years old. By the time I got to 18, I was already 10 years in, into working a career, you know what I mean? So it was just work ethic and just constant, he was one that my dad could explain stuff, sit back, break it down, dissect it to you, where he didn't get flustered or get impatient. He had a lot of patience, in order to try to just instill these values.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And what do you think you pulled away from him when it came to having expectations?
Well, the expectations were always to be the best. If you're not trying to be the best, what are you trying for?
Do you feel he was
try
an
to be
example
last
of that
place?
or just a teacher?
I mean, he was an example of that when when I was a kid. He definitely was an example to that. And he was a good teacher on, passing down information. And it might not even be pertinent to your daily life, but he just was full of knowledge and wisdom, especially for someone at his age. It always seemed like he was more knowledgeable and had more wisdom than people that were twice his age.
Yeah.
At least in my eyes. And I've been told by others the same thing, friends, family, relatives. And he was respected for that.
Do you feel like you attribute a large part of your success today and the man that you are to the lessons learned from him?
I would say definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like there are a lot of kids out there right now that have a present parent, father, mother, whomever, that is trying so hard to teach them the way your father taught you. And by listening to you, I feel like you, as a child, took the time to listen. You had to be present, to be there with him when he was breaking down these things and when he was taking you to work and so forth and so on. There's so many kids out there, they go to work with their parents and they put their nose in their phone, or they parents are trying to tell them something, they think they know better. And I know we all go through that. It's called adolescence, right? Like we all go through I know what I'm doing, Dad, right?
Of course.
But if you had to give a message now with the experience that you have, if you had to give a message to these kids out there that have present parents, they're trying so hard to guide their kids, like what would you tell them?
If you have time to stick your head down in your phone, that means you're living a pretty good lifestyle. Well, that lifestyle costs money. It's not free. So you might as well start figuring out how to make some now before it's too late and you can't live that lifestyle anymore. And you got your head down in a sink of dishes, or you're outside doing some job that you don't want to do. Pay attention now.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that drive me to just kind of learn was my father afforded us, we weren't by any means, a rich family, but he afforded us a nice lifestyle.
Yeah.
Vacations, nice restaurants, had a boat, had the place in the Keys, you know what I mean? Jet skis, I had a car at 16. We had dirt bikes, 4-wheelers, 3-wheelers, living in the Redlands. So we were accustomed to having nice things and going nice places and I knew all of that stuff cost money. And in order for me to continue that, at some point I'm going to have to take over paying that for myself. And, you know, it just put me in a place where I wanted to learn so I could make sure that I could provide for myself. And, you know, and I started making my own money when I was a kid.
And do you realize, or how rare do you realize that your foundation was looking back?
I think it was quite rare. You know, growing up, looking at, you know, how friends of mine grew up, and even a lot of them with fathers present in the house, they just different type of fathers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you could just see slight differences in mannerisms, the way people carry themselves. And, you know, I could sit back and point out mannerisms and femininities in men all day long. And, you know, sometimes it aggravates the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But it's not their fault, unfortunately.
Do you feel like there are a lot of fathers out there that think they're present but aren't? Like they're existent but not present?
Of course.
How does a man fix that? Right? Like, you know, I know you're a present father. I also know that you had a present father. And when we say present, we mean in your life for real, for real.
Yeah.
Not just came to the house, paid the bills, and like sat down and watched TV all day, right? But like truly present in your life, got you involved into things, made you do things even if you didn't want to do them because he knew it would benefit you in the future, right? And now there's a lot of dads out there listening to this right now going, fuck, I don't do any of that with my kids.
Yeah, there is, you know, and with my kids, you know, I've coached girls softball, girls basketball, boys baseball, boys football. What else? I can't even think. Soccer, softball. Yeah, no, that's about it. I've coached from parks and, you know, in Kendall to Tamiami Park. You know, I've coached all my kids in all the sports they played in at one point. And, you know, being a business owner allowed me to be at their games, to show up to the events, you know, take the vacations, you know, take them on real vacation 1 month out of the year.
Yeah.
My kids, you know, and I felt like I had to show that to my kids and kind of pass that down the way my father raised me. And it worked, you know. As far as I'm concerned, you know, my son's overlooking a room with 10 wholesalers on the phone trying to find properties in Florida so they could flip them back and forth right now at the age of 23 years old. I'm not going to be prouder.
Good for him.
You know, so it was just a matter of just taking the time, having the patience, you know, and I hear a lot of sad things, you know, coming from other men as well, you know, like I had this one kid tell my son, he's like, no, my dad doesn't let me play sports because he told me that his weekend is for him, not for him to go stand around in some park. All right, what's the point of having kids?
Yeah. You're not going to give them experiences.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not going to spend any time with your experience, you're going to do the bare minimum, food, a bedroom, and make sure you go to school. Like, what'd you have kids for?
Yeah.
Because you thought it was the right thing to do? I mean, if you're going to have a kid and raise that kid, you know, people are not even friends with their kids.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It was like, what's the point, you know? But, you know, my kids, I raise them differently.
How do these fathers listening right now get more involved? Like, how do they shift their mindset?
I mean, first off, become friends with your kid. Like, obviously, you're not going to be the same type of friendship you have with another man or the same type of friendship he's going to have with another kid, but become friends with your kid. Figure out something you guys can do together that you can enjoy.
Yeah.
I would say that would be the first thing, and just kind of let it take its course from there. The same you would any other relationship.
In order to do that, though, they would actually have to turn off the TV and go.
Oh, yeah, you got to turn off the TV. You got to turn off the TV. You got to turn off the internet. You might need to take the phone away from the kid in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have to do that. Might be a little tough love in the beginning as well.
Yeah. If you want to be present, they got to be present too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Of course. And don't be scared to give your kid tough love.
That's a good point that you just made. It might be tough love in the beginning because the kid's probably not used to this.
Oh, of course. I want to play my Minecraft or I want to do this or, no. This is what we're doing and that's it.
Yeah. That's great. I love that
That's
advice. I love that advice. All right, so I want to move to your first major fire. Okay.
Oh, which one?
16 years old. And I want to dig into this quite a bit because we started this podcast really talking about positive direction from a great father.
Mm-hmm.
And then somehow you become a gang leader in Miami.
Yes. And yes.
Talk to me about that journey before we even talk about the arrest. Talk to me about the journey of going from that household to being a gang leader. What goes through your head?
So, it was mid-90s, Miami. Gangster rap music was at the top of the charts. What we're watching on TV, gangs, drug dealers, thing in between is being glorified.
Yeah.
All across the media. Pop makes a complete 180-degree turn, and we're listening to Wu-Tang Clan, Dr. Dre, Uncle Luke, and everyone else. There's a million gangs out on the street of Miami. You got every single kid of every single mariambero and everybody else that's in my same goddamn class since my age. And I don't know, violence was just a part of a thing here in Southwest Miami-Dade County during that time. Yeah. And I think it was a culmination of the culture, where we were, the music, the type of people we had living here. You're talking about a hodgepodge of immigrants from across the Caribbean and South America, and a lot of them were living here because their parents, their grandparents, or some family member was involved in some type of illegal drug trade.
Yeah.
So you had not so normal individuals walking around all over the place during this time. And, I think it was one day I got jumped by another gang. I was by myself. And then I was a big kid, I'm a very extroverted person in all aspects of my life. So these gangs, they saw me as a target because I really didn't care and I wasn't scared of them. So it got to the point I pissed off so many of them that I had to make my own gang. Otherwise, I couldn't go outside. That's what I did.
Interesting. So this is kind of like a half and half, like first stupid shit you ever did in your life, but also first leadership position in life.
Exactly.
I just heard you say
exactly. So I said, I looked around.
My own company. I was
like, listen, so I'm not going to join your gang. I'm not going to join. I'll just make my own. You know what I mean? And that's what I did. And nobody fuck with me anymore.
That's crazy. And so you get arrested. Why'd you get arrested?
Oh, we got arrested. I was in a car with some of my friends and some of these individuals, and someone started shooting at the car, and someone in the car started shooting back, and from then on, got arrested for being there in the scene.
Did you serve?
How'd
it go?
This is where Dad comes in.
Yeah.
So this is where Dad comes in. Story gets pretty good. So at the time, and we'll talk freely about it because we're way on in years. At the time, my aunt is dating the trade ombudsman for the Clinton administration. I won't mention his name. So he had access to, a lot of information and good attorneys and so forth. So we ended up, Dad ended up putting up some money and hiring a gentleman from Miami by the name of Roderick Vereen. He's also the attorney that was on the Cocaine Cowboys special. Sal Magluto's attorney.
Okay.
Roderick Vereen. So he was actually my attorney prior to representing Sal Magluto on part of my father. And, and luckily, I did not go away only for a couple months, went down to boot camp, got out on probation and had no problems. And I was back in society in a year and a half.
So boot camp, probation, back in, no real jail time, like the boot camp.
Couple months in jail, like 6 months in jail, but never went, never had to go to prison or anything up the road, thank God, you know.
How old were you at this time?
16.
16.
16
That's
years
right,
old.
16 arrested, and now you're in juvie.
Well, juvie was only for like 21 days. They moved me in with the adults after that.
No kidding.
Yeah, I was with adults.
No kidding. I didn't know they do that.
Oh, yeah, they do. Well, it depends. It depends on your charges, depends on how everything proceeds in court. But if you get direct filed as an adult, then you will, in like a boot camp program, you're with adults.
Interesting.
Yeah, up to 25 years old.
So there was adults at the boot camp program as well?
Yeah, definitely.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it is.
So you do the boot camp, whatever, you're on probation, you're back home, you reintegrate into life a year and a half later. What happens with school and all this other stuff? Like, what happens with your life? Because 16 is, I'm a sophomore or junior in high school at the time, right?
So 16 is when it happened. I was out, the charge happened in summer of 16, 1996. And went through all this, waiting to go to court. Of course, that was a year. By the time I wrapped up everything, I was 18 years old. It was summertime of the year I was supposed to be graduating high school. I was getting out of TGK. So at that point, I had a choice. I had a couple offers to play some Division II football back then because I played football as well. And it's like, okay, well, I could go out, work out, start practice, go back to school and play football. Or do I do, start making money? And I decided to start working and making money. So, came out. I already knew a trade. I was proficient as a network specialist, working with my dad all those years.
Right.
So I could set up a network in any building.
You had something to sell.
Yeah, I had something. I had a professional trade to work. I started working. The company that, the second company that hired me, they told me, listen, we need you to go out and you need to quote this job and sell it. I'm like, sell it? It's like, no, you send me the job and I'll go do the installation. It was like, no, you're going to go quote it and sell the job. So I'm like, okay, no problem. I go out, I sell the job. Okay, that was easy. Sent me out, sold another job. So I was doing the installations and doing the jobs. I ended up selling so many jobs that I couldn't keep up with the jobs that I sold. And then I realized, I was like, wow, I could sell. And I was like, well, if I sell, that means I don't have to do the installations. That means I don't have to do any manual labor. So from that point on, I moved on, went to go work at Service Master, came the top sales rep there, Carnival Cruise Lines, top sales rep there. And then one day, AmeriQuest Mortgage came a knocking. And that's when I got into the mortgage business at age 23.
Life-changing, I bet.
Life-changing. Yeah, because these guys were in the same building as me.
Yeah.
And, I would see him every day. Back then I would smoke cigarettes. Everybody's outside smoking cigarettes on their cigarette breaks. And we're talking and like, look, and we're hiring, you should come check it out. And I was like, I got a job. I'm good, man. I make, 6 figures, which was 100 and change, which wasn't bad for 23 years old.
For 23 years
old. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Especially back then.
Back then it was pretty good. I was young, selling, at that point I was selling internet marketing. It was the end of the dot-com bust, and I'm selling email, spam, and,
spam protection.
Everything else in between, And I'm like, I'm good. And then these guys are like, look, man, I made 50 grand last month. I'm like, what do you mean you made 50 grand last month? He's like, I made 50 grand last month. I was like, okay, I'm in, sign me up. So they interviewed me there in Miami and like, you speak Spanish? I'm like, no. I said, look, we're going to send you to Miramar because you're going to have to pass up a lot of deals in Miami because you don't speak Spanish.
Right.
I was like, no problem. So I started working at Miramar, and that's,
So
where life got really interesting, entering a mortgage business at 23 years old at AmeriQuest Mortgage.
And if you look back, knowing that track that you went through, if you look back, do you feel like the arrest was punishment or protection?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think it was a slap on the hand to say, hey, you're way smarter than this, buddy. You're getting wrapped up into something very stupid for no reason whatsoever. And it definitely was. And it definitely changed my outlook, changed my friends, changed a lot.
You said definitely for sure. You mentioned that God was definitely watching over you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like,
100%.
Did God bring you the situation you were in with purpose? You feel that way? You feel like you were put in that position with a purpose for the acceleration that you received?
I mean, I think everybody feels that way. You know, everybody feels that they feel God
Some
in
people
some way.
feel-
When you're in jail, you're definitely speaking to God a lot more than when you before you walked in there. I can tell you that much. And anybody that tells you different, I don't know. They're speaking to someone else. They're speaking to something.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I think it was allowed me to just really have a turning point in my life, because what was going to happen if that didn't happen that day?
Right.
What was next? You know,
that's an odd situation. So let's take it forward a little bit. Now you're working in the mortgage industry.
Yes.
Right. And changed your life. Now you're making real money.
Making real money.
Doing something similar than what you were doing before, which is sales, right? Sales is the thing. And in my opinion, sales is like the only job you could really have that's going to help you capitalize at its highest momentum.
Yeah. You're not trading dollars for hours.
But you're trading large asset, right? Houses. So you know when you do business, it's going to be a couple $100,000, at least in that time frame.
At least in that time frame, it was a couple $100,000.
And so now you're making this money. What changes in your life? Like what lessons do you bring with you, and what changes in your life?
Well, I got married.
Okay.
I got married. You know, I had kids. I have had 3 kids. You know, at that point, you know, I had a big wedding. 350 person signature gardens. Yeah. Everybody's drinking top shelf liquor and eating sushi off of statues. And, you know, I got married and bought a nice house at 24 years old, you know, bought a 3,000 square foot house, pre-construction, brand new. Moved in, all the neighbors thought I was a drug dealer. I'm like, no, I do mortgages. They're like, oh, he does mortgages. Oh, drug dealer, you know? I was like, no, I do mortgages. So that's interesting. But yeah, I started raising a family.
How many kids do you have?
I have 4.
Nice.
I have 4 kids.
Nice. Same marriage?
Same marriage, yeah.
Wow.
Same
Good
marriage.
for you.
Same marriage.
Yeah. That's
my oldest daughter, I adopted her when she was 1 year old. I was 19.
Okay.
So my next child, which was my son, Aiden, he's 23. My daughter, which is 19, Ava. And my son, my 4th son, 9 years old, it's my brother's son, my son. I adopted him. You know, my brother died. He passed away. The mother, no, thank you, I appreciate it. The mother of the child was a disaster. And, you know, me and my wife adopted him at 1 year old, and he's been with us 8 years now, 8.5 years.
It's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah.
Good on you, man.
Thanks.
That's a beautiful thing. Going back to the mortgage industry, now you're popping, you're married, 3,000 square foot house. I'm sure you got nice cars too. You know, misinterpreted drug dealer, right? Like, you know, shit going on.
We do mortgages, please.
And then 2008 happens.
2008, yes.
Yeah. And by the way, we didn't even tap into the travel industry business that you had. We just went straight to the mortgage thing.
Oh, yeah. That was September 11th.
Yeah.
Yeah. September 11th was... September 11th, I was working at Carnival Cruise Lines in their outbound sales department. I was actually like one of the first of 40, 50 people. That department's like 1,000 people now.
Yeah.
And September 11th came, and was doing great. You know, I was top 1% of the sales force there every month. It was either me or one of these other 2 gentlemen out there. And we were always battling. And I went on vacation. September 11th hit. All the cruise ships were empty. All the flights were canceled, remember?
Yeah.
FAA shut everything down. So all the ships were empty in Miami. So I jumped on a cruise. They were on a cruise because, you know, worked for the cruise line. It cost me at that point, I think it was $5 a person. Yeah. We jumped in a suite, went on a cruise for 5 days, came back. And Carnival Cruise Lines lifted their cancellation policy and said everybody could cancel now and get a full refund. Well, the cancellation policy protected our commissions as salespeople, right?
Oh, wow.
So now there's bookings that should not be charged back as a commission. And Carnival Cruise Line said, well, since we're going to let everybody cancel, we're going to charge back your commission as well.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, hold on. That's not the deal we have here.
Why would they do that?
Well, they did it. They charged back $2.5 million and they donated to Red Cross the following day. Mickey Harrison and Bob Dickinson were on TV with Vicky Freed, and they were donating the money they charged back to our commissions right back to the Red Cross. So at that point, I'm looking at my chargebacks. Of course, being a top salesperson, I have hundreds of thousands of dollars of commission and chargebacks, which are telling me that they want me to pay them back over the course of the next year or however long. I'm like, no. You change your cancellation policy. I feel bad for what happened.
Yeah.
But that's your business. Like,
do you feel like the big conglomerate business that they are, they could have, and listen, I always hate pretending that I know what somebody's budget sheet looks like. But I think a decision like that should have been like, you can cancel, but also like, guys, we're not gonna take money from you being our employees because everybody's going through a tough moment. Right?
Yeah. Because how do you expect to? I mean, for someone that didn't have that many sales, it wasn't really that big of a deal.
Right.
But you had people in the department that were expected to pay back $7,000-8,000 a month in chargebacks for the next year or two.
Yeah.
Like,
so you're working for free.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not gonna. That doesn't mean because you changed your mind and you wanted to donate the money. I mean, that's great. You donated the money, but don't take it from us and donate it.
Right.
You know. So they got me in the first check because I had a nice commission check coming, and I resigned. I opened up a travel agency within 24 hours, and I took the fucking money back. I booked 50 cabins. I had canceled my clients. I got all my money back that they took from me. And then they tried to send me a letter, of course. But I'm like, look, I don't have an NDA. I don't have anything.
Right.
Right. Didn't matter. Fuck you, Mickey Harrison.
There you go.
It's irrelevant.
Fuck you, Mickey. Nobody likes Carnival anyway, bro. Unless you're trying to sponsor this show, then, you know. So that's your, like, I would say probably your first big loss outside of going to jail. I'm talking in business sense. And then you become the very successful mortgage broker, and then 2008 happens. And for those of you watching right now that don't know what 2008 is, that was the financial crisis of the world, of the world, not America, but the entire world collapsed financially in 2008. And so many people lost so much. And then there was like the group of people that lost a lot. There was the group of people that got arrested and went to jail for fraud and forfeiture and all that stuff. And then there was the group of people that took advantage of the loss and stayed in their houses for 2 years not paying a mortgage because they could.
Yeah.
You know, there was every type of person comes out in this type of situation or environment. You know, even people that could afford to pay their mortgage and still had a job.
They stopped paying.
Stopped paying, you know? So very weird situation. A lot of people lost their jobs. Credit cards just shut down completely. A lot of people went into foreclosures and short sale. Short sale became the big thing of the world. Just the market had a complete shift, complete change. And by the way, in 2008, I'm still kind of new to the industry. Right. So I'm like just picking up steam, you know, like, and then they took it all away from me. And I was like, fuck, man.
Yeah. No, 2008 was rough. You know, at that point, I had been in the mortgage business for 5 years.
Yeah.
I had decided that I wasn't going to be in any other business the rest of my life, and I was going to do this the rest of my life. I had my own mortgage brokerage open, and you know, we were closing loans. You know, when everything went down, thankfully, you know, I did good loans. You know, so I didn't have problems like other individuals had, like a lot of other people. You know, so I didn't have any legal issues whatsoever, and at that point, you know, looking at yourself and you're like, what do I do now? I'm sitting in a 3,500 square foot house. Yeah. I got 3 kids to feed, young kids to feed, you know, I have a lifestyle that I've been accustomed to.
Yeah, you built it.
You know, and it's like, all right, you just snatched the rug from under me because It wasn't about going and finding clients or no, the banks were not lending. I couldn't get a bank to lend for a while. I don't even remember how many years it was.
Yeah.
So at that point, it was all gone.
What did you shift to?
Well, I mean, once a salesman, always a salesman. You know, you find out what's out there, what's hot, where the commission's at, and you go sell.
Yeah.
I started that point when I first came out of it. You remember the commercials, the JG Wentworth, where they buy your structured settlements. You know, I didn't work with them, but I worked for publicly traded, was it Imperial Structured Settlements? They're the third largest annuity purchaser in the country, the only publicly traded one. The other two are private. And drove to Boca, 66 miles one way, back and forth from my house in Miami every single day. And, you know, hit the phones and bought structured settlements. And I was good at it.
Yeah.
And we were just buying annuities, or people that had money coming in the future, and we'd buy it for pennies on the dollar. Did that for a while, and then got a call from a buddy of mine, and they wanted me to come run a sales department for a patent research and marketing company in Miami Beach. So they brought me out there, opened up an office, and I grew a sales team from 8 people to 80 people in 3 different offices. Had a nice office with a view of Biscayne Bay, you know, nice company car. They bought me in a brand new M5, beautiful car, Alpine white and secure orange leather. And built it up, you know, busted my ass in the beginning, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, put 4 or 5 managers in play. That went to 25 hours a week and 4 days a week with a $100,000 company car, and just hung out doing that. Mortgage game at that point, you know, started coming back. Owner of the company, the patent company, went through a divorce, and he was just letting loose, and you could tell he was milking the company, and I just made the jump back to the mortgage game. I said, I'm going to go back now.
You already know it's going to start.
I already kind of saw where it was going after he had the divorce. The signs were there. Yeah. The marketing changed, and mortgages were hot again. And I was like, well, I'm going to go back and do what I've always wanted to do, what I never wanted to stop doing. And I got back in the mortgage industry. I think it was back, it was 2013, 2014. Okay. No, 2014. Got back in 2014 after the 5-year hiatus from 2009, and back in it ever since. Loving it.
These people don't even know, huh? People don't even know. Like a lot, if you came into the real estate game post 2015, you have no idea. Because 2020 didn't even compare to 2008.
No.
You know, the whole COVID thing?
No.
I mean, it just didn't even last long enough.
No,
right?
COVID was so, thank God.
Yeah, COVID was a boost.
I mean, listen, when COVID first hit,
everybody was scared. And if you went through 2008,
I was going through I was like, this is a repeat of 2008. Yeah. I was like, it's happening to me again. I was like, for a second time, this industry is going to fold in, because what happened was all the banks stopped lending.
Yep.
As everything closed, all the banks said, we're closing down underwriting, we're not funding, we're funding last loan, this, that. And I'm like, oh no, it's over again. I can't lend any money.
Yeah.
Everybody closed. Everybody stopped lending. I had maybe $6-7 million in underwriting, which I should have made a couple $100,000 off. Poof, gone.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Going into a period of closure again.
Yeah.
With 4 kids now.
And thank God it didn't last very long.
It didn't last long.
It didn't last long, and then it just turned into this crazy
boom. Into a boom. Yeah, I remember when we started lending again and interest rates dropped, my phone exploded. I hired 3 assistants, went from COVID sitting around the house to being in the office 80 hours a week, and we still couldn't keep up with it.
That's insane, man.
It ended up being the best
thing that ever happened.
The best
I'm sorry.
Damn ride that I got a chance to take a part of. It was good.
And my apology is not to anybody widespread. The apology is to those that may have lost somebody to COVID, right? We understand that COVID itself was a bad thing.
Horrible.
But the effect that COVID had on industry and business and the movement of homes and rates and
life-changing.
life-changing.
Yeah. Big time.
Life-changing. You know, and if you worked it and you understood it, you got a big win. There's so many people that miss those signs, right?
A ton.
I remember 2008 turned me into a short sale king. Like, I had no other choice, right? You got to shift with it. You move with it. You figure it out.
That's
you
it.
know, like you said early on in the podcast, right?
Hey, let me speak to you man to man for a second. I wrote a short book called Forged into Man. It's not a long read. As a matter of fact, you probably finish it in under an hour. But don't confuse short with light. This book lays out the 10 rules, not suggestions, that define how a man shows up when life gets heavy. It's about ownership, discipline, truth, strength, faith, and carrying responsibility without breaking. I didn't write this to motivate you. I'm not a motivator. I wrote this to give you a code. If this podcast has ever resonated with you, if you're in the season where you don't need more information, but you need more direction, this book is for you. You can find Forged into Man right now and learn more about it at forgedintoman.com. Read it once, read it twice, live it daily. Because when the fire comes again, you should be not asking why, but you should already know exactly who you are. Let's get back to the podcast, guys.
2021. Now, this is a year post-COVID. You're making a lot of money, and you lose millions of dollars to a Ponzi scheme. What happened?
So, the Ponzi scheme. So, the crazy thing is, you know, I would normally not invest in something like this where I have no control. And this scheme was presented as a Forex trading platform where there was an algorithm, a software algorithm that was trading currencies and gold spots automatically in a market by looking at the market movements. And I watched this company because I knew the owner. My brother-in-law worked for the company. My sister-in-law worked for the company. Everybody that worked at the company were my clients. I did mortgages for them all. So I saw the bank statements. I saw the money, the deposits coming in. Mm-hmm. So I finally jumped into it. Put a couple $100,000. At that point, you know, everything's going good. Rates start going up. Here, interest rates start going up. Business starts to taper. And I think this is now in 2022 or was it 23? I don't remember exactly. I'd have to go back and look. And you have this money in this account and you're watching it grow 10% every month, 8%, 12%. So you don't want to touch it. So I'm credit cards, I'm taking home equity line of credit because that money's working. I'm like, okay, when I hit a number, I'll pull a couple $100,000 out. And by the time I went to make that big withdrawal, nobody can get their money again. I actually put in for a withdrawal. It was November. Okay, and I put in for a withdrawal. I was withdrawing $150,000. It was $50,000 to pay the credit cards because I didn't take money out from before to take care of it. I was going on vacation for Christmas, taking the kids. And it was a $100,000 down payment for a Ferrari F12 Berlinetta. It was white, black wheels, beautiful, Novatec exhaust. I was finally buying the fucking Ferrari.
Yeah.
And I go to withdraw the money and I can't get the money out to buy the Ferrari. Okay, no problem. The money's coming. The money's coming. 3 months, money never comes. Finally, that's it. The money's gone. The guy, his name is Ted Franco, with the company that was supposed to be facilitating the trades and the brokerage, none of the trades were real. They were fake.
Oh, shit.
The money was siphoned off. It had grown so big, so many people went to take money out because the economy started to turn that it made it collapse. And it collapsed before, of course, you know, I could get any money back out of it. So, but yeah, it was right around $1 million, you know, and, you know, that changes, you know, you're doing things, you're moving like you have that extra $1 million sitting there. So you're making moves, you're making investments, you're making plans.
Yeah,
Well,
you're thinking future.
exactly. So when that money all of a sudden just disappears,
Yeah.
you're losing other money.
Yeah, I can
because
understand
you
that.
have other projects and stuff going on that you're planning to use those funds to complete.
Yeah.
And it was a nightmare.
So 9/11 travel industry, 2008 recession, 2021 Ponzi scheme. Which one of those hurt the most and why?
I think the one that hurt the most was the Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one that hurt the most was the Ponzi scheme, and not financially. Didn't hurt me the most financially. It hurt me the most because people that I knew and I trusted lied to me. People that I helped.
That's painful.
That's what made it the worst.
There's
Definitely,
nothing
100%.
There's one word that ties to that. It's betrayal.
Oh yeah,
And
100%.
and I like,
betrayal based off of greed.
dude, it is.
And then you get but I didn't think, you didn't, all you had to do is just tell me the fucking truth and let me make my own decision.
Yeah.
The same way I treat you, or the same way I treat anybody else.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you the fucking truth. You can make your own goddamn decision like a big boy.
Yeah.
Don't feed me fucking lies because you think it's what? So you can make some money?
Yeah.
And now it fell apart, and I know it's not their fault because they were lied to as well, but at some point, you knew you were lying.
You knew, yeah. At some
you
point
knew
you knew.
you knew you were lying to
At
me,
some point, you knew what was going on. and
exactly.
You didn't want to show face on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that, that's what really made it the worst. Worse than all the other ones.
Scale of 1 to 10, where do you put betrayal as the most disgusting thing ever?
Oh, it's definitely 10.
It's like a 10, 11 for me.
Yeah.
Like, I think when you betray someone and their trust, you oftentimes are betraying them in a way that affects not only them, but their family, their household, their businesses. Like, and when you do something like that, you are truly one of the lowest, most selfish pieces of shit on earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you listen, fuck up because you're an idiot.
Yeah.
No problem. Fuck up because you made a mistake.
Right.
But don't fucking fuck up and flat out lie to me.
And lie about it. Yeah. Yeah. Unbelievable, man. So, most men, especially now, I think men have changed a lot,
Definitely.
which is why we're created this podcast. So we want to bring the man back, right?
Definitely what this country and this world needs.
Most men suffer one collapse. Like, one really big bad thing happens to them and they just fall apart,
Oh, yeah.
right? How do you survive 3 or 4? What's the mental toughness behind that?
You don't have a choice. What are you going to do? What am I going to do? Stay home?
See, but that's
in a
what
home
I want to
gonna be
get in on
taken
it,
away?
because
Yeah.
for you, it's what else am I going to do? I feel the same way,
Yeah.
right? Like, I've had my crashes too, right? And you got to get back up. For people like us sitting here talking that, how do you break that down even further for somebody who's thinking, how? They're on rock bottom right now. Like, imagine somebody's listening to this right now, rock bottom, lost everything. They just lost $1 million. They can't pay their mortgage. They can't pay their rent. They can't pay their family expenses. They can't feed their kids right now. They don't know. They're just in a complete mind shutdown. They can't see what's next. What do you tell them? How do you survive this?
First off, there's no one coming to save you. No one's coming. You could ask. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody is coming to save you. So unless you work on saving yourself, you're just going to keep on drowning further and further until you're dead. It's simple as that. You need to save yourself. You need to wake up and say, what is my next step? How am I going to keep this roof over me? How am I going to keep food in my kid's stomach? You know how to do something. You got all that shit by knowing something. You better put it to work. Simple as that. You get out there, whether you need to find a job, start a business, start a hustle, if you need to grab the lawnmower and start cutting grass, or a machete and start cutting trees, like, you better get out there and do something. Because just sitting there feeling sorry for yourself
ain't gonna work.
It's not going to help you. That's it. Only thing you're going to lose feeling sorry for yourself is that wife and kids that are depending on you. She's going to get tired of seeing you sitting there feeling sorry for yourself.
100%.
So you better get your ass moving. You ain't going to have nothing left to save.
And if you're not in the right mind frame, when she does get tired, you blame it on her.
Yeah.
Because you're not in the right mind frame. So you go, I can't believe she left me when I was down. But oftentimes you don't realize that you were down way too fucking long.
Yeah. And you refuse to try to pick yourself back up.
Yeah. You left her carrying the weight.
Yeah. And that's, once that respect is lost in a woman's eyes for a man, she can't gain it back.
She can't gain it
She
back.
could try. She could think about doing what's best for the kids and this and her, but that respect is lost. It's lost.
Yeah.
It's gone.
What do you think those losses taught you about what type of man you are under pressure?
It put me in a place to just shut out the noise. Shut out all the noise, get back to the basics, figure out how you're going to make this money, and just fucking put your head down and do it. Yeah. Until you get home and your head's ringing, you can't even watch the fucking TV or listen to anybody talk in the house. If you're not getting home and your head is not ringing to the point that you feel like you have a headache and you feel sick to your stomach, you didn't fucking work hard enough that day if you're in that position.
Right.
Get your ass back out there and go do some other shit.
And I think what a lot of men don't realize is it doesn't have to be that forever. It just has to be that for right now.
Exactly. You got to figure it out. Now, your first step might not be your last, but you got to take that first step.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're never going to get out of the hole. And you do whatever you got to do to make sure you're not in that position. Like, for me, it's hard to understand a man not being able to take that action and being in a position of inaction. Like, I don't even understand that mindset of existence. I just don't.
Let's go back to the wife, the woman of the household. What do you think is going through her head when she's dealing with a man of that nature? And how does a man help her realize, hey, I got this, like, it's be okay?
I mean, I think as long as that woman sees you putting that effort forth and, having that fire inside of you to get yourself out of that position, your woman is going to stand by you. She's not going to stand by you, though, when you start acting like a little bitch and giving up. That's not going to happen. That's definitely not going to happen.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
But she knows, she can tell when you're trying. She can tell when that fire is there, that desire, and you got that ethic to make sure that you're out of that position. She knows.
Do you feel like most men, and are you, I'll ask you this, most men are nervous about expressing the hardship and the emotion that they're going through with their spouses?
Of course.
In that particular fear.
Of course.
And they're afraid of what, you think?
Well, they're afraid of rejection. I mean, that's everyone's number one fear, right?
Yeah.
Being rejected. And now you're being rejected by the only one person that accepted you and didn't reject you. And now you're getting rejected by her? Well, get your shit together. Get off that fucking sofa.
Tough, right? It is tough.
It's not going to get any better.
It's not going to get any better.
No.
Man, do you think that men should be confiding in their wives and letting them know, like, listen, I'm going through some shit. I'm going to fix it. Like,
I think, you know,
Or do you think they just do it through action?
well, any good woman's going to tell. You're not going to have to tell her anything.
Yeah.
You know, if you got a good woman that really knows you and she knows your life, she's going to tell. You don't need to say. She will see.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, there's a lot of, you know, don't, as they say, what's the saying? Oh, yeah, don't tell me, show me.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're showing her, you don't got to tell her shit.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that.
It's funny. You know the phrase, you wear your heart on your sleeve? You know,
Yeah.
I wear my heart on my sleeve. And so if I'm pissed, you know. If I'm in a good mood, you know. Right? Like, you just know. I have no way of hiding it.
I've been told that about myself in the past as well.
And my wife is like clairvoyant when it comes to me. Like, I could be pretending that I'm in the best mood of the world. She'll look at me and she'll go, nah, man, what's wrong? I'm like, yo, how did you figure that out, right? In my opinion, that's a great woman. You know, that's a great woman. All right, so let me get off that soapbox. You didn't just recover, though. You rebuilt this thing. Double, triple, like.
I did. Yeah, I did. You know, mortgage business is doing great. We've been able to definitely achieve in the past, 3 years, where there's been offices and companies closing down left and right. I think it was close to 1 million more MLOs didn't renew their license.
Wow.
So, you know, I always kind of sit back and look at rates and say, yeah, I know there'll be a frenzy when rates go down. But I was like, just wait a little bit longer. Because it's like every couple months, there's at least 50 to 100,000 MLOs that just quit the business. You know what I mean? And I just say, you know, it's a little bit longer. Get rid of another million of them.
Yeah.
You know, then bring the rates down. You know, because I don't mind.
Yeah. They all start coming back.
They all, yeah. No, we don't want them back.
That's the real estate industry.
It'll take them six months to gear to wrap up again. By the time that I'm eating like a fat glutton, you know, for those first 6 months. So it's okay. I'll take it. No, what really allowed us to you know, really stay relevant and grow at a time where you know, a lot of other individuals are not, is just diversity. Yeah. You know, I offer a diverse amount of loans where you just can't get done everywhere.
Right.
You know, and you know, the hard money now that I'm doing myself privately, where, you know, I get to be the decision maker. I don't need a credit report. I don't need an appraisal. I could close in a week. But it goes around pretty quickly. Yeah. You know, and that diversity has allowed me to just really become more and more relevant, where in a time where, you know, a lot of people in the business are fading based off of the traditional model that we kind of all looked at and followed at some point in time.
Right.
Thank God.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to ask you, what systems, because it's like when we tell people, wow, amazing, you recovered. I want to dig in on that a little bit and understand what systems, what beliefs helped you not only recover, but just really double and triple your business. Besides the fact that, you know, you've got a thriving office and you're diverse and you have a product for just about anybody and whatever need they have, what's internal within you? What systematically works within you? What beliefs do you have that help you triple your business coming out of a hardship?
Just be honest with people. Be honest with people. Work hard for them. Keep your clientele in their best interest, not yours. Yeah. When you treat people fairly, you're honest with them, you're able to execute, and you're not out there selling a story, as a lot of people do. Those people are going to come back. They're going to confide in you. They're going to want to do business with you. And I just treat everybody the same. Yeah. And I'm just honest with them. Yeah. And I try to get them the best deal we can. and we try to get done. We try to get, done what we say we're going to do.
Nice.
That's it. We
So
don't
it
sell
comes
fluff.
with honesty, transparency, like doing the job, doing the work you promised somebody you're going to do. Like, that's the big piece.
Yeah, and you can't let people down. I mean, you have to. I'd rather under promise and over deliver than over promise and under deliver.
My wife says that all the time.
Especially, here in Miami, because at the end of the day, Miami, we're becoming a big city. We're on our way to becoming a big city. People always want to think of us as a big city,
But we're not there.
we're not
still
there.
a small town.
We're a big town.
Yeah.
That's what I call it.
I
We're a
always
big town.
I say it's a small town because I feel like everybody knows everybody or cross paths to somebody.
Everybody knows everybody. And, you can't toss around my name with people losing money and toss around my name with deals not closing and toss around my name. Well, he did this, he stole that. So it's, my face is clean. And when you talk about it, it's like fucking lender, been doing it, get your shit done. Nobody really has anything bad to say. He's a little fucking rambunctious and
That's it.
fuck it. I'll take that.
So going back to your father, you mentioned that he was a big influence in your life. And now we've talked about so many of the losses and the rebuilds and the loss and the rebuild and the loss of money and the rebuild again. And now you're on not the pinnacle of a rebuild, but like way passing more than you've ever rebuilt before. What can you say that you took away from your dad's teaching early on that really has brought you to the man you are today?
Well, we were never in a position to need or want as a child when I was growing up. And I believe that just gave me the attitude and the idealism to make sure that my kids never needed or wanted. And that just lights a fire inside of you and just gives you the drive to do anything, I think.
I think that there's a distinction there. Because some would say, well, if you never had a need or a want, then you had everything that you wanted and needed. And so like, how do you even learn to fight, right? And some would say, like, those who have needed and wanted, it's easier for them to create the fire internally to want and need so strongly to ensure that their kids never have to want and need, right? Like, there's two sides to the coin, right? Because someone could live your exact life and be a total failure in life because they never needed or wanted, right? And they don't even know how to drive that fire. Just like there are people who grew up with nothing and still have nothing because they never developed the fire, right? Hey, just a quick second of your time. I work privately with founders, executives, and high-performing men who are at real inflection points. Moments where the wrong decision costs years, relationships, or peace. This isn't coaching, motivation, or accountability. It's confidential, strategic counsel focused on clarity, restraint, and judgment when the stakes are high. I take on a very small number of clients at a time, and I work deeply, not publicly. If you're navigating something complex and need clear thinking without noise, this may be a good fit for you. Reach out to me at forgedintoman.com. Now let's get back to the podcast. How do you, because that had to be in the teachings, that had to be in the way that you were raised. It had to be something that was said to you that made you decide, I'm not going to take advantage of the life that I've been given. I'm going to go build it myself as well. And I'm going to do it better. And I'm going to have more. And I'm going to be able to provide for my kids in a way that they've never been able to need or want. And by the way, the lessons that were taught to you, you've taught to your son because your son is doing it too. What is that secret ingredient?
The secret ingredient. I guess we kind of want to think that we know. ourselves that well. And I couldn't tell you one thing or the other, had the impact to lead me down the path that I went. I would just have to say it's just a culmination of everything that I've been through, and the fact that I just don't believe that failure is an option. We're all going to fail on a path to success, but at the end of the day, failure is not the option. You fail at something, do something else. You do it over again. Do it a little bit differently. Whatever it may be, the end of the story is not failure. You need to write the end of your own story, and you can't end the story when you fail. You got to get back up. Success is 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 10 tries away. But you're going to get there as long as you keep on trying. As long as you keep putting the work forth and putting the effort in, something's going to break. Something's going to happen.
I heard somebody say once, keep pushing until it breaks and then understand why it broke, and then do it again. And I found that to be so interesting to me, because I grew up a little different than you, right? My father wasn't present. My stepfather was existent, but not present, right? That's where I got that from, Yeah. Yet, I think you and I might have very similar drives. We want more, we want to do more. We never want our kids to need or want or desire anything. But we also equally want to teach them how to work hard for it. And I think the secret ingredient is in the education. And I think the secret ingredient is in what your dad taught you, and in turn, what you're teaching to your kids. And I think as parents, we can only hope and pray that we get the message across, right? that they pick up on all the signals we're trying to give them as we're out there busting our asses on 80-hour weeks. Yeah. Not only leading by example, but leading through the message, the education that we're giving them, And I'm excited that you said that, because I think that, your dad was a big influence on you, and I hope that we're encouraging more men to be huge influences on their children, whether or not their father was on them. Relevant.
No, it is. It's a choice that you're going to make. Your father's not going to make it for you. Your wife's not going to make it for you. Your kids are not going to make it for you. It's a choice that you're going to make to be present.
When it comes to kids, right? Like you mentioned being present there for your kids, that, you've adopted, you've done so many things when it comes to kids. How do you work 80 hours a week and remain present in their lives?
Just make sure you have a good cell phone signal. Make sure your laptop's in the car and it's charged. Thankfully, most of the business revolves around speaking, and emails, which fortunately with technology where we're at today allows me to conduct business pretty much anywhere.
What a blessing, right?
Thank God.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine being chained to the desk in an office
with a rotary phone.
Oh no! Oh.
Yeah, let's go.
I remember when I first started doing sales, and we would call our leads off of paper, pen and paper. You cross out the leads, and you're dialing, hand dialing. And now you could just auto dial directly out of your CRM.
I met the guy. That Will Smith portrayed in that Wall Street movie. I can't remember what it's called, but
I remember the movie.
You know what I'm talking about,
I remember.
Right? And great story, by the way. But I met that guy, met the real guy, and I was like, "Did you really make that many phone calls?" Right? And he puts his hand up, and his index fingers curved inward from how many times he turned the rotary phone on a daily basis, year after year, day after day, right? Yeah. And I was like, no way. I was like, man, did you just curve that on your own to tell your story? Like, no. That's wild, man.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a certain drive that not everybody has that creates that type of individual.
I agree.
You
There
know,
is, and not. It's not for everyone.
if you strip away the money, the business, the success, what does being a man mean to you today?
He's carrying yourself as a man.
What does that mean? Break that down like.
Well, I think a man's masculinity is everything. That it be the, people that call it toxic or whatever you want to
Whatever
call
you
it,
want to call it.
which it's not. Say, put whatever bullshit ass label you want to it. But at the end of the day, you're left with your masculinity. You're left with your pride.
They say pride can get in the way sometimes. You believe that?
I believe it does.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. What are you going to be, an unprideful man?
Yeah. What does that look like, right?
I don't get it.
I
I'd
don't
rather
get it.
be prideful, go through the failure, and if you need to make some changes or do something else, and go about your business and make it happen. But I mean, pride is pride. It's going to get in the way.
Right? Like, what does being a man mean when it comes to responsibility for, let's say, your family?
Well, I mean, you're responsible for it. I mean, you need to make sure that they're okay
Yeah.
before you're okay.
I
Me at the end of the day, I can eat rice and eggs at the house with no Wi-Fi. I'll be all right. They're not going to be all right doing that shit.
Yeah.
It's sacrifice.
Yeah.
You got to be willing to lose it all. You got to be willing to sacrifice it all. You got to be willing to sacrifice your sanity in order to provide for your own. If not, the fuck was the point of having them? Go run off and get a fucking roommate.
Do you feel like that's leadership in general? Like, do you feel that same thought process that you have right now when you talk about sacrifice for your family? Like, what's the fucking point if you're not going to be that type of person? Do you feel that's the same method and thought process and mythology that you would apply to, say, the team that you're building at the office?
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Right? Because why hire them if you're not going to push?
What's the point?
I remember somebody told me once, you want to know what it's like to be a leader, hire somebody. Not bring on a team member to your team that you're going to split 50-50 on deals with. Somebody that you owe money to every other Friday. Right? Somebody that all of a sudden you are now responsible for whether or not they're capable of feeding their family or not.
You got to show up. You got to make it happen.
That's a game changer. Right? Defining manhood as being responsible for your family. How does responsibility show up in your daily decisions?
Well, you always have to make sure that you have enough to go around, that's for sure. So you can't be too selfish, even though sometimes we want to be.
Yeah.
But it's just, I've done it for so long, I guess it's just kind of automatic at this point.
Right. So to the guy who's not doing it right now, what's your thought?
Dude, get out there and bust your ass. You shouldn't have time to play video games.
It's funny because
you shouldn't have time to watch a Netflix show and figure out what fucking... I caught two of my friends the other day, two men, talking about a fucking episode on some show. I don't know what fucking bullshit show that they have enough time to sit around and fucking count the episodes that they watch. But if you're binge watching shows and you know what season or what episode you are and you got problems in your life, that's your fucking problem. Get the fuck out and do something. You're sitting back watching other people's fucking life on that fucking TV every goddamn day. Then now you're a group of men talking about it. Get the fuck away from me. I don't want to be anywhere near you. Like, if you're in that position and you could watch shows and talk about them and like, then your life should be perfect. That means you got enough time to sit back and do stuff like that. Me personally, I don't know. I not in that position, but I could tell you one thing. I'd rather be living life than watching someone else's. And if you're sitting back glorifying the time that you're spending watching someone else's life in real life with someone else, I think you need fucking help.
It's funny because I ask these questions looking for the, you're not the first person to ask this to, and hopefully not the last, right? And answers are always very similar when you're speaking to somebody in a successful position. And it's almost like you, as a person interviewing, you ask this question looking for some magic answer, when the reality is that the answer is simplistic as fuck.
Real simple.
It's a very simple answer, right?
Very simple.
And it almost like you started this and you didn't over explain it. You just got passionate about it. You started this by saying, just go to fucking work, man. And it's as simple as that.
That's it.
When you made the decision to work for yourself, to start your own company, to do that, why was that decision important to you, and how does it define you today?
What allows me to control my destiny. I don't have anybody else controlling my destiny. It's in my hands. If shit goes south or it doesn't happen, it's my fault. I don't blame it on anybody. There's nobody to blame it on. So I'm going to go home and feel sad because I didn't get the promotion that I thought I deserved. No, I promoted my fucking self. Like, come on. And it's not for everyone either.
Yeah.
Because everyone can't do that.
No.
Which is fine. People like me and you wouldn't exist if it was for everyone.
Right. Right. I remember very early on trying to understand entrepreneurship and this development of life, coming out of the military, being in a very organized, ordained way of life for so long, and asking a multi-millionaire. I don't even know how much money this guy had, but it was stupid. Stupid house, stupid Porsche, just stupid all the way around, right? And I'm this younger guy with limited knowledge, very ignorant in a lot of things. And I said to him, if success, because he kept telling me success is so easy. Making money is so easy. And I said, if it's so easy, then why doesn't everybody do it? And he looked at me and he goes, if everybody did, who'd serve you a burger at McDonald's? And as asshole-ish as that sounds, it is the most simplistic way of explaining it. Explain that not everyone is going to do it. Not everyone's capable of doing it.
No, it's not. Just the idea of doing it makes people fold. Not even trying it.
Do you think there has to be a little bit of crazy in there?
There's a lot of crazy. Of course.
There's a lot of fucking crazy.
We're all fucking nut jobs. What do you mean? Yes, there is. Of course. The idea of going out there and working and sacrificing and investing with no guarantee of getting anything back and losing it all, you can't be normal. Normal people don't do shit like that. They go the safe route because it's safe.
Yeah.
Because they're normal, which is great. I need people to do my taxes.
Normality was created by society, right? We need you here 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, it was all, that's all part of the
system,
the systematic ordainment that we go through here in this in the system here in the United States. We're taught to learn this, go to school, get good grades, study, go get a good job, make someone else rich, work until right before you die. Hopefully enjoy a little bit of that if you can.
Yeah.
And then just fade away into nothing. So
you're traveling around the world now, different places. You own property in far off lands and things like that. We were talking about the Dominican Republic earlier.
Yes, yes. I started. So I got separated from my wife of 20 years about 2.5 years ago, and I've been traveling.
Good for you.
I've been traveling, and it's definitely opened my eyes up to a lot of what's in the world and how we live. A different life here in the United States, and how people live different lives
Everywhere else.
internationally and everywhere else.
I always say there's a reason why so many people I know that live and grow up and their entire lives in the Dominican Republic live to be 110 years old.
Well, yeah. I mean, at Dominican Republic, they were rated as, I think it was the happiest or the second happiest people in the entire world. That means that they had less stress, they enjoyed themselves more, and you can see it when you're down there.
Yeah.
Like, we all have to worry about making money and paying the bills and everything, but no matter what happens every day, these people could step outside with a couple of presidentes, a box of dominoes, a bottle of Brugal,
Frost on the outside,
and a Bluetooth speaker bumping some bachata, and they could be the happiest people ever on a Tuesday at 7:30, sitting next to traffic. And it's something down there, something when you're there in the island, and you just feel a little freer. You feel a little less tied down.
I often advise people to break out of their bubble, right? Like if you grew up in Miami and you've never really explored outside of Miami, you're in a bubble.
You're in a bubble,
That doesn't exist anywhere else, by the way.
No.
Right? Like Miami's a very special place.
Very special.
That has its own thing, I mean, if you went as far as Palm Beach, you'd be in another planet.
A completely different. I mean, you cross over into Aventura, and you're a different planet. And you're not even in Broward yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, getting out there, traveling, and seeing the world has definitely, been enlightening. I'm going to continue.
How has it changed you?
It's changed me a lot. It's
You look
changed me
younger.
a lot. Thank you. Yeah. I definitely look younger. I feel younger. I've definitely had some very interesting life experiences. I've been traveling by myself, which is something that I never really did before. I was always travel with family, friends, but I've been traveling by myself, and I'll pick a new country and a new city and drop myself in that city or that country for a month at a time.
I
2 or
read
3
somewhere,
weeks, 6 weeks at a time.
I read somewhere, and you could confirm this, right? I read somewhere that if you really want to know who you are, learn to travel by yourself and learn to eat by yourself. Is that true? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Are you experiencing that right now?
Oh, yeah.
What are you learning about yourself more than ever before?
Well, first off, learning that you could just be by yourself and be happy is one thing. Because most people thought, I'm going to be bored. I'm going to be by myself. Am I going to be able to talk to? Am I going to be able to do? That's fine. There'll be people where you are. There'll be things to do wherever you go. Trust me, the world is not running out of people. They're not. So there will be people there. There will be things to do. But I think one of the biggest things that has changed with the travel, and it's not, I wouldn't say it's particularly the travel. I think it's the routine. And I actually read a study that kind of just popped up on me that kind of confirms the way I feel. So you remember at that point in your life, typically in this country, in the United States, for men, it's around 30 years old. But there was a point in your life, whether it was 30, whether it was 40, whether it was 28, where you felt like time was passing faster.
Yeah.
Don't you feel that way as
Yeah.
you're getting older? You feel like
Yeah.
time is going by
Yeah, 100%.
faster and faster?
Faster than ever
But
before.
time is not going faster.
Yeah.
A second is a second, a minute is a minute, an hour is an hour, and a day is a day.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
What's changing is your brain. You get locked into such a routine that our brains are smarter than us. they actually stop recording memories in your routine, which makes it feel that time is going by faster.
Kind of mundane.
Because you're not remembering anything, because your brain has told itself to shut off and not record the memories because it's irrelevant. Save space.
It was the same shit as
for
yesterday.
information.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, you remember the last trip you went on, right?
I do.
You did? You remember where you ate the first day?
Yeah.
You were for breakfast, right? You remember, right?
It was, in my offense, I took a trip this last week, but like, you
Okay.
know.
4 days before that, what'd you do for lunch? No fucking clue.
No clue. No clue.
2 days before?
And because it was exciting. Because I went to New York for a couple of days, right? And like, I got picked up by car service, and I had to make a bunch of stops throughout Brooklyn, day one, like before I even checked in.
Completely out of your routine.
Yeah, completely out of my routine. And all I can think was, there are two things that I need to eat while I'm in Brooklyn: a bagel and a pizza, right? Because you're in Brooklyn.
No pastrami sandwich?
No pastrami. I didn't have time. Like a pastrami sandwich, you got to get to the right Jewish place and like sit down and like really in doubt.
Glob on the mustard.
Yeah, I didn't have time for it, but I did like grab the slice. I grabbed the slice for the guy that was driving the car service, and we were like.
But you remember it.
I
Look,
remember.
you remember it down to the slice. You remember everything.
I brought bagels home.
You
bro.
can't remember what you did 2 days when you got back?
I can't.
No.
So regular shit, same old thing.
Time feels like it's going by faster because our brain shuts down our memories because what's happening is irrelevant. It's the same thing over and over and over again.
Right.
That time is dying within inside of you. The best thing I can tell is people get out of your routines. Like, get out of your routine, live life. You need some excitement. Like, you have to. Like, your brain's not even remembering what you're doing. Time is just flying by, going on to death. Take advantage of it. You only get one chance.
And man, I want to be clear about something because, you're doing this now. You also mentioned you've been separated for a couple years. And I want to be clear about something because I'm in my marriage. I'm a very happy married man. Love my wife to death. And I could still do what you're doing with her. And I think so many people, they feel this tied down position. That feeling is it's
somewhat of it still is the routine.
Right, but it's a tied down position that I think most men create in their heads.
Oh yeah.
Or they're not with the right person.
100%.
Period in the story.
A lot of people are not with the right person.
Right.
A lot of people, most people are not with the right person.
Because I feel like, you're traveling to DR and, things like that, and you're experiencing the Dominican Republic. I'm just using that as one example. I could do that with my wife. I could go to DR and experience new things with her.
Of course.
This summer we're planning to do Israel and Japan both with the kids.
Nice.
Right? That's going to be game changer, not only for us, but like the kids, they're going to have all this like world experience that they'll get to carry with them into the future. And it's game changer. It's breaking the routine, like you just said. Getting out of the mundane life.
Exactly.
Stopping the pressing record again in your brain.
Exactly.
I like that.
So
like this segment is called Press Record.
What I do when I'm not even traveling is I strive to just do something different every day. So my brain can record the fucking day.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Yeah.
So I've actually changed to purposefully taking the routine out of my day. You have a calendar, right?
Yeah.
Pretty booked up. I don't hold a calendar. I don't have a calendar. I refuse to hold a calendar.
No kidding.
I get a message, say, what's the best day and time for us to speak? I was like, well, I take calls 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, so just dial the fucking number. And if you don't get me right away, I'll call you right back. We could talk right now, actually, while we're sending these messages. You available? Right? Oh, yeah, actually, I am. Great. Let's get on the fucking phone instead of planning what we're going to talk about. Let's talk about it right now.
But do you think that that is something you grow into with time?
Yeah, I haven't held a calendar for a while.
Yeah.
I did for a while, and I stopped.
But like, I guess that's kind of like the question, right? Like, is it like, do I have to hold the calendar and be productive and get to a certain point where I can leverage a lot of my stuff in order to be in the position to let go of my calendar?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot. I believe people have to go through that.
Because I don't want somebody out there thinking, you know, who has zero business going on and nothing in their lives, like going, well, I'm gonna live my life on the fucking fly, right?
Oh,
like,
make sure you're ready for it. You know, make sure you're ready for it. But that's one thing I took out of my life. I took out the calendar. I took out the schedule.
good for you, man.
You know, I took that all out, and I'm happier.
Yeah. I think I'm not there, but I'm on my way. And I think we had conversation about a little earlier where I've removed a lot of things that required my time and energy that no longer serve a purpose or have surpassed their expiration date, like doing live coaching calls for just the masses, or recording stuff that was irrelevant, or doing Monday calls, even though they were impactful and everybody loves them that logs in. Like, I get people that just, they love them, you know? But also, like, for me in my life, they reached their expiration date. They did their job. They've served their purpose, right? And so
Exactly.
now it's time to cut that out, move on to something else, you know? And what that does is I'm watching it as things are stopping and things are being deleted from my calendar. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. This is game changer.
Yeah. Feel differently.
Yeah.
You feel no constraints.
Yeah. You can shake a little bit more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like,
Shoulders are free.
like you asked me, like Yves, like, what do you plan? What do you have planned for tonight? Like, oh, I don't shit plan.
I don't fucking know.
I don't fucking know. I don't know where I'm gonna end up. Where I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
But I bet it'll be fun. I bet I'll enjoy it.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
But yeah, no. I got rid of the calendar. Got rid of the schedule. You know, I guess kind of the downside is I'm on all the time. I
Okay.
don't shut down. I don't
Okay.
shut down. Doesn't
Okay.
matter where I go, where I'm at. I don't shut down. But I'm okay with that. I'm cool
It's
with
the
it.
life you've chosen.
That's what I chose.
You can't be mad at what you choose.
No.
You know, I think about that often, actually, because I hear so many men talk about, oh, the kids, or oh, this, or oh, I got to get home to the wife, or like you hear words like you're in a group of guys and one of the guys goes, oh, I got to go home to the ball and chain. And I'm like, dude, if that's how you feel about her and that's what you're expressing to the world,
You're doing both of yourselves a disservice.
you're doing a disservice
Yeah.
to yourself and to her.
Yeah,
Because if you think your wife wants to be known as a ball and chain, you fucked up.
definitely not.
Like, she does not.
And you know, there's a whole other podcast, but I think the situation that most men are in and the way they feel is because of the way they get treated by their partners
Agreed. I would say
and the way they allow their partners to treat them.
that's what I was going to say. I would say if someone treats you, I don't care if it's your partner, friend, business partner, whatever it is, if someone treats you a certain way, it's because you've allowed that to happen.
Yes.
And so if you're being treated in a funky negative way, it's time to look in the mirror and go, did I allow this, and is it too late to turn it around?
Yeah, it's a lot of hard questions you got to ask yourself.
Yeah.
And a lot of hard dealings that, you know, those people are going to have with their significant others.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are trapped and feel trapped.
What do you suggest to someone who feels trapped, who feels like they're with the ball and chain?
Write the check.
Yeah.
Stop being a bitch. Write the check.
I'm with you. You know, I am a big advocate for trying to work it out no matter what. But that came very late in life. And you know, I think a lot of people know this is my fourth marriage. I've been married 4 times. And so, you know, although I'm Puerto Rican, I only have kids with one wife.
Surprising.
Right. I have two daughters with my first wife, and I'm a stepfather, really father, because I've been around since they were 3 and 5.
Yeah,
But
you're dad.
you know,
That's
yeah,
it.
I'm dad to Jen's kids, who's my current wife. And I find it to be such a blessing, and I also know that I got married too fast, too quick, without enough knowledge and not enough guidance. And I didn't grow up in the household that taught me how to cherish marriage, you know? So I'm the first person to say, if you can work it out, work it out. But I'm also, although I hate for people to get divorced because it's a very painful thing to go through, right? Separation's tough. Whether you
It's
know,
not easy.
whether you know it's the right thing, like even if you truly believe it's the right
You're
thing,
always
for
going to
everybody,
second guess it.
it's tough.
You're always
It's
going to
tough.
second
Yeah.
guess it. You're always
It's
going to
tough.
what if. You're going to, but at the end of the day, look,
You gotta do what's best.
you got one life.
Yeah.
We got one shot. There's no reset.
It's Eminem this shit,
When
bro.
you- once you get past a certain point, like you can only live so much of life.
Yeah.
And
You gotta be happy in life, man.
you got to be happy. You got to be happy with yourself.
Yeah.
If you're not happy with yourself, things you do, and how you're able to treat yourself, like,
Yeah.
it's a fucking point.
And if you're not happy, it's because you did something wrong or you're with the wrong person. Either way could be right. Both could be right,
Yeah.
you know? But
And,
if
and
you-
the other thing, too, you know, when you say you're with the wrong person, I mean, the wrong person and the right person can be wrong or right for you at any stage in your life, and that could
Yeah.
change.
and that could change.
And that
That's
could
why I
change.
said, like, sometimes you gotta settle down and see what you're doing wrong and do everything you can to make it right, because the next stage could be Eden.
Yeah, no, it is, and at the end of the day, you know, with time and wisdom and experience, your outlook changes as well. You know, as a boy, as a man, you know, and you're taught to go out and have the best and the most of everything, right?
Yeah.
We go out and bust our ass.
Yeah.
You got in real estate to get yourself a nice house.
Yeah. Fruitful.
It wasn't to live in a fucking
No,
studio.
it was not.
No,
No, nobody gets into real estate to be broke,
exactly.
right? Although a large percentage of realtors.
We went out to, you know, be able to afford the nicest house
Yeah.
for us and our wives and
Yeah.
our kids, and drive the nicest or the fastest car and go on the nicest vacation. And I want to collect, I want to buy multiple investment properties. I want the most and the best of everything. That's what I'm working for. Should I have settled on one house? Should I have settled on one vacation? Should I have settled on one blazer or one watch? So I think as men, type A, alpha men that are going out and chasing the best every goddamn day of our lives, we should deserve the best and as many as we want of everything.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
I'm on a different aspect. I agree with you. I also believe that you can have the one right person that creates abundance in your life.
Of course.
And then it feels absolutely like you have everything you deserve and want. I believe that. I feel like I have that, right? As a man, I feel like I'm in the position where I want cars and houses and investments and businesses and everything else. But also I'm with a woman that goes, yeah, let's go get that. And I got your back. And so I feel like when you're with the right person will make you feel like all of that is worth it. Right?
Of course.
And then you just it all comes and pulls together.
And that's why I say, you know, the right person is the right person for the right time in your life.
Yeah. The right season.
Exactly. You know,
Yeah.
and I needed that for a good part of my life.
Yeah.
And I got exactly that
And you're not there
from
now.
my wife. And now I'm in a different place. It's
Yeah.
a different season.
You're also single.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's a different season in your life.
You know, it's a different season. It's a different time. I don't want to discuss my work. And what am I going to do? Come home and you're going to give me advice on how to run my business or what I should know? I don't want to know. What are we going to eat for dinner?
Yeah.
Where are we going out? Run a trip. Go to the gym. Let's go do this, that. I don't need advice on how to run my business.
Yeah.
I don't want to, what's that fucking word? Compromise.
Yeah.
I don't want to compromise about anything in my life.
Yeah, you're just in a different season.
I believe I deserve to do as I please, when I please, and that's it.
Good for you.
Simple as that. And I think I'm a happier person because of it.
Good for you. Everybody needs to know where they are in their lives.
Yeah,
And every man gets to make that decision for themselves.
definitely.
And my belief is that no man should be able to tell you otherwise.
Or woman.
Or woman. You're right. You're right. Sometimes I feel like men have the biggest, they try to impact you with what they believe is right, you know?
No, that's laughable.
All right, so let's talk about perspective, looking back on your life. The arrests, the collapses, the rebuilds, all the craziness of Yves Cham. Right? Let's all the crazy in your life. What moment do you believe has forged you the most?
What moment has forged me the most? That's kind of difficult. I think I've been through a lot.
Yeah.
And really pinpointing the exact moment or scenario that kind of made that level of impact to say where that was the point. It's really tough to say. It really is tough to say because I had so many different turning points going through life and ups and downs that, you know, I think getting married, being with my wife and having a family was, you know, a point that really made me know that I'm responsible for these other human beings. I have to get this whole group of people through this crazy world that we live in. Comfortably, too. And I think that really turned a switch that really made it to the point where, you know, like I was saying earlier, like failure is just not an option. It's not.
I love that. I love that because what you're really saying out loud is the biggest part of your life that forged you was the moment you became responsible for someone else.
Yeah. I would have to say that would, you know, if I had to pick one, I would say that would be it.
And it's never ending, by the way.
Oh, it never ends.
Because they're always your kids. They're always your
Always,
babies, right?
no matter what.
And when you become a grandpa one day, God bless, like, then those become the babies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, now you got to
And even though they're the responsibility of the kids, you're, you know, your grandpa.
You're there, your grandpa. Your grandpa, exactly.
Yeah, man. You've said that you're open. You've said that nothing's off limits. Why is transparency so important to you?
Because I have a name. I have a name. I have a reputation. And that name and that reputation is not synonymous with lying. It's not synonymous with pulling the wool over someone's eyes. it's synonymous with just being real. And I think it's something that it's very difficult for them to just be real. Just be who you are. Everybody's always trying to put up a facade.
Do you feel like it's even more difficult now with social media and everything else?
To put up the facade?
No, to be real.
Oh, it's very difficult. Because everybody wants to put on a show. Everybody wants to put on a show.
When you say be real and authentic, what's the message you're really trying to send to people?
I mean, just be true to who you are. Everybody's not going to like you. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's cool. You're not going to like everybody else. There's nothing wrong with that either. But don't try to be someone different to try to fool people into liking you, or fool yourself into liking people you don't like. Just be who you are. Be a real person. Have some fucking balls. Have some grit to you.
Yeah.
I know I'm not palatable to everyone.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And I'm happy about it.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I could be happy living my life every single day knowing that. And I'm not going to change so I can be palatable to everyone. And I think in this day and age, it's really allowed us to just be yourself. So embrace it.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you don't know who you are, go figure out who you are.
Take the
You
time
owe
to
it
do
to
that,
you.
right?
You owe it to yourself.
Yeah.
How could you go through life living a lie, not knowing who you are, not knowing what you really like, not doing what you really want to do?
You know, I got married very young. Younger than you, I think.
How old?
I was 20.
Oh, yeah, you got me. I was
Yeah.
24.
I was 20 when I got married. And I have no regrets about it mentally because I had kids early. And so I feel like I'm going to be around for a couple of generations, and that excites me. Like, it excites me to know that I'll see my kids and my kids' kids and maybe their kids too, you know, if God permits. But also, I think that what you just said was so important because I never got an opportunity to know who I was before getting married. Therefore, I couldn't give my first wife the best version of myself.
Makes sense.
And I love what you just said. Go get to know who you are. And I'm not, guys, listen to me. I'm not saying if you're married, I'm not saying dip on your wife and go figure your life out. But there are things you can do. I'm still learning myself today.
If she really loves you, she wants you to know who you are.
Yeah, 100%.
She'll live with it. It's all right. She'll be there when you get back.
You know, I did so with your wife.
As long as you're laying it down.
Know?
If not, I don't know. I'd be kind of scared.
But I did some last year, and I went to Costa Rica and I did an ayahuasca journey.
Nice. I have a buddy of mine that just did one too. How was that? 'Cause I want to go.
Mind blowing.
Yeah.
Mind blowing. I think I recommend it to anyone out there in the world. I'm happy to give you the name of the place I went to. But I recommend it to anyone who's ready for it. I don't think I was completely ready for it, but by the fourth day, because we did 4 days of ayahuasca, by the fourth day, I was wide open because I needed to understand. You know, I still went there trying to be controlled where I needed to be open, you know, changed my whole life, changed my perspective on life, my perspective on my kids. I mean, I literally had a meeting when I came back. I flew my daughter in from Jersey and I put them all in my, I have a meditation room in my house, which was a product of my ayahuasca journey. And I put all the kids in there and we had a family meeting. And I took a moment to apologize to them for the man I used to be. Right? And actually recently wrote a song for my daughter called I Thought I Was Building It For You, because I spent so much time building rather than being with them. Like I wasn't the dad that you say you were or your dad was. I was the dad who was always working and thought that was how you father, you know? And so a lot of lessons for me, but the ayahuasca journey was a game changer. And so when you talk about learning who you are is critical to your relationships, to your future, to your business. And then, by the way, also, like, once you know who you are, be super unapologetic for it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, be ultimately unapologetic for who you are. You are who you are, and if people don't like you,
That's cool.
fuck you. Right? Like, go about your business.
No
Because you
problem
ain't
with
we ain't in this together.
That's why we live in this big world.
Yeah. Plenty of space for everybody. Plenty of space for everybody. You know, I'm excited about a lot of things we talked about because I feel like it gives a lot of people different perspectives and understanding your past and your history and where you are today. You know, like, listen, man, there are people who are going to try to create something great and they're going to take a stab at it and then it's going to just kick them in the teeth and they're going to stop. And they're going to go work for somebody else and they're going to do that. And the question is that okay? Or did that guy fuck up or what? And I think it really boils down to what's important to that person.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay for some people because some people just will never have the drive to get to where they want to be.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But if you tried and you failed and you stopped and you still feel that fire and desire,
don't kill it.
Don't kill it.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't the right time. Maybe it wasn't the right passion or the right
people.
idea, the right project. Could be a lot of things. Continue on with your dream, your vision, or find a new dream or vision.
Because there's so many things that go into this, right? Like, it's not just like your idea turns into a vision and then that vision turns into a thing.
No.
Like, there's a lot.
It's a lot of work.
A lot that goes into this.
A lot of ideas.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to keep on going. You can't stop. If you stop, you're going to feel dead inside. You're going to feel dead inside, then you're going to turn into just that other average person sitting in traffic every single day, crawling off to the cubicle 1 week a year on a cruise line. You know what I mean? And that's not a life. Sorry.
You know, it reminds me of his, remember the movie The Office? You ever watch that?
The show?
Yeah, no, the movie.
The
It was
movie?
like The Office, I think, with the red stapler. I don't know if you remember this.
Nah.
Where's my red stapler?
I don't remember.
If you've never seen it, you got to watch it because it boils in right into what you were just saying, where like they're in the car and like, you know, the dude's just listening to rap, hip hop, like on the way to work, like, and it's just the mundane thing every day, like pulling into the office and going to work and doing your 9 to 5 and getting out and then going back in, and it's the memory shut off that you discussed.
It's a routine. The repetitiveness.
If I had to learn what I learned from you today and title it, it would be something along the lines of never stop recording. Right? Like, imagine if you just lived your life with the idea that if you were so mundane, your brain would stop recording. And if your entire focus was, I can't let my brain shut down, what would that look like? Like, what would you do to shift life, to make the changes necessary for your brain to go, oh shit, we got to record this?
You have to definitely sometimes step out of your comfort zone. You definitely got to be very adventurous and very spontaneous. You know, and just don't let the normal, you know, the normal constraints of life hold you back. You know, what you're going to do, what you're going to see, how you're going to experience life is going to be very unconventional to what your thought process is telling you is the right way. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to tell you that what you're doing is very unconventional and unlike yourself. And that's cool. That means you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
If people are not telling you that, you're not going down the right path. If people are telling you that, I think you're on your way to freeing yourself from the constraints of daily life.
When you were at rock bottom and the only way was up, and you understood that at a really high level. And there's a guy watching right now, promise you, feels like he's at rock bottom. Besides just go to work, what else should he be thinking about? Because I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, and we said just go to work. Like don't overcomplicate it. But is there anything else that you would recommend to this guy who's watching right now, who understands, okay, bro, I know, I had to go to work. Okay, I get it. But like, what else is there that this guy needs to put in his head that you would recommend? Or is that it? What does he need to
What
hear?
people think,
what does he need to hear from you?
What people think doesn't matter.
Love that.
Okay? What people think doesn't matter because they're not going to save you. They're not going to help you. You're going to help yourself. You're going to save yourself. And a lot of people will struggle with getting out of their comfort zones, thinking about what people think about them
Love that you
and
said
how
that.
people view them. And the moment that you stop giving a fuck is the point where you could start making a change and turning it around. Because, like we said earlier, I mean, the biggest fear of all of us is rejection, right? Well, if you're not scared of getting rejected and you keep on trying all over and over again and you're putting the blood, sweat, and tears into it, it's a fucking numbers game. You're going to hit it eventually. Might be the first try, might be the 50th. But if you stop after the first, you're never going to find out. So don't care about what people think about you. It's irrelevant. You know why? Because they're going to forget about you.
Yes.
That same day or the next, it's going to be irrelevant. So why should it have any bearing on your decisions or what you do?
I think it goes deeper than that, and it ties into an earlier conversation that we had. Because you said, just go to work. You got to cut grass. If you got to chop trees down, chop trees down. Do what you got to do to take care of your family. And then you said, now, don't worry about what people think about you. It's irrelevant. Because some guy listening right now that was like maybe a tech dude or tech bro that like lost everything recently or whatever the case is, and everybody looked up to this person because they were doing so well. Now they've lost everything. And now they're like, how do you expect me to go cut grass and trees, bro? Like, what will people say about me?
Gives a fuck.
Who gives a fuck? What will people say about me? How do I go from doing these big things to doing that?
You ain't got a choice. You got to start somewhere. Otherwise, you never start.
People will only talk shit until you have 30 people cutting trees and cutting grass under you. Until you got 10 trucks running around the city. If the fire's in it, like we said earlier, don't let it die.
I got a buddy of mine. Know what he does for a living? Cuts grass and cuts trees. Doesn't cut it himself anymore. But he got 30 trucks driving all over the city. Makes a lot more money cutting grass and trees than I do lending money. So, hey, let me tell you.
Probably got them city contracts
cutting
too.
grass and trees is not a bad gig. I tell you, he has a hell of a nice 40-foot boat with fucking 5 engines hanging off the back.
Oof. I heard a story the other day. You know who Gary Vee is, right?
Yes.
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
So there was a caller that called into Gary V and he said, hey, Gary, I got some questions. You know, I started this new business, but I still have my full-time job. And he's like, so what's the business? And he goes, well, I go to people's garages.
Cleaning out garages
And I
for
clean out
$6.99.
You saw that, right?
I saw it. I heard it. I remember
So
it.
$699. So he's like, it's like I clean out people's garages. I take all the junk out, and then I take the junk to the dump or I sell it. He's like, well, how much are you charging people? He's like, $699. And Gary goes, quit your fucking job. Like, are you kidding me right now? People are paying you $700 to clean out their garage, take all their stuff away, sort through it, find what's valuable, sell the valuable stuff, and get rid of the garbage. Like, what are you thinking?
And they were overbooked.
And they were overbooked.
Yeah.
Opportunities where you find it.
Exactly. And you got to find something somewhere.
One last thing, if you wanted to leave the audience with anything super strong, what would it be?
Live your life. We only get one. Don't let it pass you by without living it. Don't let it pass you by while watching other people live it. That's my best advice to everyone. Now, how you go about doing it, how you make it happen, what you change,
It's up to you.
it's completely up to you. But live life. Do what you want to do. Do what makes you happy.
God bless. Listen, man, I'm very grateful for having you on the show. Mainly because you helped me create this show in my head. But second, because you have such a great story of resilience, you know? And I don't know if you realize that. You know, sometimes
I mean, to
people
me,
just
it's my story,
go.
so it's just...
They just go. People like you go. And you're not, there is no other option. There is no other choice. But it's an amazing story of resilience and tenacity and desire for so much more. And that's something to be applauded, even though you don't need the applause or the trophies or anything like that. It is something to applaud. And I think that there's I don't know enough about you to know whether or not that there's a level of humility in you that looks at this and goes, fuck, thank you, God. You know what I mean? Like, and I hope it's there because you've done so much and
Every
been through
day.
so much. Yeah, I love that.
Every day.
That's great to hear. You know, we say on the show that the fire reveals the man. And whether that means that the fire makes you into a complete disaster or the fire makes you into a complete rock star, it reveals who you truly are, right? You come out of the other side of the fire burnt or forged, you know? And you particularly, you faced dangers very early on, you know, did your jail time, things like that, but you had a great foundation with a great dad. What a blessing to have that. And each time you chose respectfulness over bitterness. And that's a really big thing, in my opinion, you know? Faith over fear is another big thing because you're very honest about saying you're very thankful to God and to what God has put you through. So here I wrote rebuilding over surrender because I think that's critical. You know, I think that's critical because a lot of guys, even after watching this, are going to surrender.
Yeah.
My goal is that they don't. But even after this, they're going to surrender. You know? So to every man watching right now, rock bottom is not a sentence. It's not a jail sentence, rock bottom. It's a starting point. Remember this truth that the fire doesn't destroy the man. It defines him. Forged by pain, tempered by faith, built for purpose, our mantra. You know, pain reveals you. We always say that. You know, if you feel the pain, it is revealing you. Pressure builds you, just like a diamond, right? Purpose defines you because you got to have a purpose in this life. Like my purpose, similar to your purpose, is the growth and development of our businesses and our kids, our families, the people that we spawned into this world. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't choose us. We chose them, you know? Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank you, Yves, for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is Forged Into Man. Thank you for joining us. Click on the link. Make sure you guys subscribe. Happy to have you guys here. We'll see you soon. Every man has a story. Some hide it, some bury it. But when you share it, it becomes the torch for someone else's path. Remember, the fire doesn't burn to break you, it burns to build you. If today's conversation moved you, share it. And if you're in the middle of your own fire, keep walking. You are not alone. This is Forged Into Man. I'm David Adam Kurz. Until next time, stay strong, stay grounded, and stay forged.